Today we're going to review the HR diagram and how to read the HR diagram. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at temperature. So when we look at temperature, we can see that it is unexpected. And what I mean by that is we would think that it would go smallest to largest, but it actually starts with our highest temperature and it moves across to our lowest temperature. So when we look at an HR diagram, we want to carefully look at the temperatures that they give us. Sometimes the temperatures will be listed up here, sometimes they will be listed down here. Okay, so I see my temperatures and I see that these over here are going to be my hottest stars, and these over here are going to be my coolest stars. The next thing we want to look at is luminosity. And when we look at luminosity, luminosity is based on our star, so the sun. So I'm going to look at this 1 and I'm going to go across, and you'll notice that A happens to be the sun. And we are going to compare all these other stars' luminosity or their brightness compared to the brightness of the sun. So anything above this line is going to be very bright, and the higher it goes, the brighter it gets. And everything below this line is going to be more dim. And so the sun is just an average brightness, and if I go higher than that line, it gets brighter. The higher I go up, the brighter it is. And then if I go below that line, the more dim it is. The lower I go, the more dim I see that star being. Okay, so when I go to label my quadrants here, I have that right here, these stars would be hot and bright. I have that these stars over here would be cool and bright. The stars down here in this corner would be hot but dim. And then over here in this last corner, they would be cool and dim. And then A is representing the sun, and it's average and average. So remember that the sun has an average temperature, an average size. It also has average luminosity. So when I'm going to answer these questions, it says which star is the hottest. So D is actually going to be the hottest because it's the star that's closest to this side over here. And it's got a temperature of about 10,000 Kelvin. So D is the hottest and its temperature is about 10,000 Kelvin. Which star is the coolest? So I'm looking for the star that is the furthest over this other direction. That will be star C. And it has a temperature right around 4,000 degrees Kelvin. Okay, for the brightest star, we want it to be the highest up, so that is also C. And the least bright star is going to be the furthest down, and that is going to be D. Something else that you see on this particular HR diagram are these spectral classes. Occasionally, you will have a question that will ask what spectral class a specific star is in. And so when we look at spectral class, and I'm going to change my color, all I do is I find the star and I go straight down and I can see what spectral class it's in. So A is in spectral class G. B is also in spectral class G. C, if I just go straight down, is in spectral class K. And then D is in spectral class B. It's really close to that line there. We do not talk about absolute magnitude, so you do not need to worry about that when you see it on an HR diagram. The main things that we look at are temperature, luminosity, how bright something is, and then also identifying the spectral class if that is given. Sometimes luminosity will be on this side, but I could also see it on this side of the HR diagram. Sometimes temperature is up here, sometimes it's down here. Also spectral class sometimes is down here. Sometimes it is also up at the top. So when you get your HR diagram, all of them can look different, but it's really saying the same thing. You want to make sure that you're finding your temperatures, your spectral classes, if they give them to you. Not every HR diagram has that. And then looking at the luminosity or the brightness of the star. The last thing that I want to talk to you about on this particular HR diagram is that right here, remember that these are our main sequence stars, and they account for about 90% of all of the stars that we look at and talk about. Okay, so where A is right here, this diagonal line of stars, those are called our main sequence stars, and those are going to be 90% of all the stars that we talk about. If you have any questions, send me a message.